Welcome to the Lessons from the Tank podcast. Today, I have Lance and Kim from Mighty Carver, which is one of the most fun products that I've ever seen on Shark Tank. It's a chainsaw to cut your turkey. First of all, you gotta buy one just because it's really cool, but you certainly want to listen to some of the struggles that they had and how they overcame them as they were growing after Shark Tank. Check this out. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here for sure.
So, you guys have one of my favorite episodes. Mighty Carver, first of all, such a cool product. But seeing the Jason mask on Mark was classic. Which one of you guys came up with that?
It was kind of actually the show's idea. They wanted me to put the mask on, and I absolutely kind of held firm that Lance Burney's not going to put on a Jason mask and get on TV because you can go good or bad. And I was like, why don't we get one of the sharks? And then they ended up saying that, we can only pick one. So let's pick Mark. And we thought that would be the best one. And he played it up perfectly.
Oh, he did. Like he was even doing like the horror movie stuff. Like it was really awesome.
And it was exciting because he actually posted it on his Twitter on the first night of the season. And so we knew we would air at that point. We thought we knew. We weren't sure at that point. And so we saw that they used it in the beginning. We were like, I think they're going to use us.
Yeah, because you guys shot during COVID where there was a lot of questions about everything going on, right?
Everything was different. Everything was completely different. Yeah, they brought us into Las Vegas. They put us in a bubble. There's certain things we can talk about, not talk about, but it was no interaction with the sharks. You watch episodes to prepare, but then now everything's changed. Like you can't, have that personal contact. So definitely a lot of changes.
I will say though, it was, we had an advantage because we were locked in a room for 9 days. Mm-hmm. And we had 3 meals a day, steak, seafood, desserts. It was really nice. And this room was fantastic. It was at the Venetian and they're all suites.
Right.
So we actually had 9 days to think about what we were going to say and what we were going to do. I feel like you can't do better than that. You just eat, drink, and sleep Shark Tank in your product.
You know what's funny is that the fact that you guys took that in a positive is I interviewed someone else and it was terrible for them. So they were like, it was the same thing. They were like 9 days and all I could think about was my pitch. He's like, I drove myself crazy for a week and a half.
Yeah.
So
well, I think because we were ballroom dancers. We were competitive ballroom dancers. So we're used to practicing every day, all day. The same routines over and over again. So we are, we're focused. That's in our makeup. Like we have to do that. Repeat, prep. And it's just what we do. So for us, it was a blessing. It was like fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you guys were together too, I'm sure there were the people that were there by themselves.
That'd be tougher.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I heard the guy next to us was by himself and I could hear him practicing by himself. And I thought, how in the world is he doing that? And I wanted to slip a little note under the door and say, hey, we're with you.
But yeah, you slip a note on the door, you guys would have got the boot. You couldn't have any contact during COVID. So
yeah.
So So the episode went really well for you guys. I want to talk about this for a little bit because there's some interesting things that happened. First of all, tell us a little bit about Mighty Carver. There might be some people that don't know your product, which I think is one of the funnest products that has ever come out of Shark Tank. But tell everybody a little bit about it.
So the Mighty Carver is an electric carving knife. It looks, sounds, and feels like a chainsaw. We came up with it. Because we have a tree farm. Yeah, we have a couple tree farms. One's in Montana and one's in Florida. And just the joy on their face, my kids, my son, my husband, everybody's out there all day just with smiles on their face using these chainsaws. And it was during Thanksgiving and we were going to have Thanksgiving dinner. My grandfather always cut the turkey. And I said, hey, which one do you guys want to cut the turkey? And you could hear crickets. Like nobody was like excited. I was like, oh, gosh, if it was a chainsaw, they'd all be jumping out. So that's how the idea came
Connecting the
around.
two, the family farms, tree farms, chainsaw, love of equipment, tools, and then missing her grandfather at a Thanksgiving after all the years, and then that was kind of like the background of, hey, what if? What if?
Yeah. Yeah. And we just started asking friends. I know this is a crazy idea, but would you know somebody who would like this? And everybody always said, I know exactly who would like this. There's always someone that someone knows that says, oh my God, they would love this. So that's how we got started with that.
Well,
Yeah, basically for 2 years asking everybody, and everybody had this exact same response. I know somebody in my family that would love this.
well, I don't know if you guys are like my family, but the electric carving knife only comes out on Thanksgiving. Like that's we just don't do enough other big things that but it comes out every Thanksgiving. And so to
Yeah.
have something like what you guys have, like this little mini chainsaw, it almost becomes an event. Like you kind of bring it out and it's like, "Rrr," it just seems like such a cool, fun thing. And look, as you have young ones, they're gonna love that. It's something that they're gonna remember for years and years. Remember when Dad cut it
Yeah.
with the chainsaw?
Well, that was the idea because every time we did a show, or we did order the first 1,000, and every time we did a show, people wanted to get their hands on it. Number one, and number two, they always had a smile on their face,
Right.
and we always say that it's strangely satisfying. You just once you start, you want to start finding other things to cut. You want to cut oranges, you want to cut pineapples, you want to cut bread. And it just is just a fun thing, and that's really why we decided we always like to amp up our Thanksgiving. Like, like for us women, we want to put a new tablecloth, and we want to get the men involved with it. So I always thought this is great. And you can have like we have when
Fun.
when we do it at our house, all the guys have their own, carvers, and we also do we carve
Pumpkin.
pumpkins. So we have a pumpkin carving contest, and they all have their own, Mighty Carver. But yeah, it's just to, really have fun with your family, and just to add that extra element, really.
What's really interesting, and I've done some stuff, some speaking with elementary kids, and we talk about solving problems. That's what an entrepreneur needs to do is to solve a problem. And what's really interesting about you guys is you solved a problem that a lot of people didn't know that they had, if that makes sense. Like who's going to cut the turkey. It's not like, oh my goodness, this is a life-saving type of problem, but it's still something that people deal with, right? And so I just think that that's amazing. It's just such a cool, just a cool product and a cool thing that you guys did. Cool concept, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, the knife actually works really well. So when we made the knife, we wanted to make sure it was quality, not something that would be considered a toy. So we actually made it, and then realizing that the handle on the bar actually gave you leverage when you're cutting. So versus an old traditional electric knife where you just have your wrist to kind of cut the knife, the actual guard bar actually helps with leverage.
Yeah, we're really just at your traditional carving knife with the costume, to be
Right.
really honest, because it functions really well, just like your traditional. And so we just really, I would say, we tweaked it and
Made it fun.
yeah, made it fun.
That's
A new twist on a family tradition of carving the turkey, basically.
So you guys had something in the tank that you don't see very often. So you had an offer from Mr. Wonderful, right? Then you had an offer from Damon, who was more aggressive. He kind of put a countdown on you guys. But then Barbara and Mark started talking on the side, and
Yes.
you guys felt this pressure to, like, Damon was either in or out. You didn't know what Barbara and Mark were going to do. Like, what was going through your heads at that time? Because, not to give away too much, but, well, I guess to give it away, you guys ignored them. You guys ignored Mark and Barbara, two sharks that were going to team up, and you guys were like, nope, Damon's our guy.
So we didn't actually ignore them. We, when Lori started the countdown, I could see out of the corner of my eye that that Mark and Barbara were talking about it. And so I tried to turn my back to Lori and Damon so that I could try to, and then look at his face for his reaction.
Because we were facing each other, so I could see Damon and Lori, and and Kim could see Mark and Barbara. So we were kind of,
So at that point, I said, Damon's really fighting for us. He's talked about his daughter is in ballroom. He loves to fish. He's giving us all the reasons why he wants us to be his partner. And I really liked that. You don't often see that. So I said, I'm starting to really like what Damon has to say. And then I had to look to him we kind of agreed beforehand that we would give each other the look. If you're in, with this, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? I looked to him to say, hey, are you in? You know what he does? He says, I'm not making that decision, Kim.
We had agreed all the way up until that moment that we were going to, agree with each other to go with somebody.
And I just was dumbfounded at that point because I said, what do you mean? And I could still see Mark and Barbara talking. And at that point, Lori had gotten 3, 2, 1. And I just said, Damon's my guy because he's fighting for me. And I appreciated that. But, Barbara was like, Kim, come back. That's your dream when you go on Shark Tank. You want them fighting over you, right? So that's how that happened.
So how big of a relief is it when you get the first deal? Like when the first deal comes out,
it's a huge relief. Yeah, that was like, we had 2 obstacles to get through. And that was, the first one was just to get through our pitch because we're 2 people. If he forgets his lines, I've got to remember what he's supposed to say. If I forget my lines, he's got to,
Right.
So that was the obstacle there. And then I couldn't remember if I said what I was supposed to. So I said, should I say it again? No, I better not. So you have all these things going through your mind. And then to get right off the bat, that first offer was really exciting. Like I said, oh, okay, now we can just take a breather. And
right. And there's certain things that, you don't ever overdo. You don't overvalue your company or do certain things. So again, getting that first offer just made it, okay, we're in the right ballpark, for everything.
Yeah, and prior to this, we had never watched Shark Tank. So while we had the 9 days, we decided to kind of look at the different episodes. So really, it's just a matter of knowing those answers of the questions that people are going through, and we thought we knew the answers to that already. So we thought, well, really no surprises. But we would prepare if there were. So we were trying to, any surprise questions they could come up with, we would be ready for.
And the fact that Mr. Wonderful didn't call us a cockroach on national TV was the best thing ever. Now we're really going with something good.
Yeah, because when I got that phone call that said, do you want to be on Shark Tank? I said, I never seen Shark Tank. So I said, well, let me watch an episode and I'll call you back and let you know. And the first episode I saw, he's calling somebody a cockroach. And I thought, oh, I don't know if this is where I want to be or not. So then my husband said, Kim, if you believe in your product and you feel confident in your product, what does it matter if he calls you a cockroach? It doesn't really matter. I said, that's true.
So we went.
Yeah.
And they were very gracious and nice to us. We were really lucky. They did not give us any trouble or, problems. So I don't know why.
I know. It was the same thing with us, or, with me when I was in there. I just kind of went out and I'm like, oh, that was a lot less painful than it could have been. Right. That was yeah. And you guys, I assume that things were set up different. Like I could actually hear the people in front of me go. So like I was in the sound stage. So, I was just like in a curtained area, so I could hear everything that was going on, and the people in front of me got hammered, and I heard every bit of it. So like I had sweat pouring down my back just listening to them. But
well, no, we did not hear them. However, we were the first ones when they first come to show you. Probably the hardest part for season 12, we had no say-so on our setup. We had no hands-on experience. We had to trust that they would set it up. So they did give us a little window. We would go look at the set stage and say, you're going to step here. This is your setup, but we weren't allowed to touch it. It's right in the middle of COVID, and then bring us back. Well, we saw our stuff all laid out. So we, at that point, realized we were going to be first. Yeah, we were going to be the first ones, but it didn't bother me. I would have rather gotten it over. And funny enough, that little group that we had, there was a group, they would bring us down in groups of 4 during pandemic. So 4 would come and go shoot, and then they would take you back to your room, and then the next 4. And so all the four, I could hear them a little bit in the back, and I heard them little whoop whoop whoop. So I think people after us also got a
They got
deal
a deal
too as
too.
well.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, that was really good.
So things have been kind of crazy, I assume, since your appearance, and the whole the podcast about lessons from the tank, and I know that you guys have learned some lessons in your journey. And one of the things that we had talked about prior to coming on was being careful as an entrepreneur with the people that you trust, the people that are supposed to do the things to help you grow your business, and sometimes that stings if you trust the wrong people.
For sure. And we can attest to that. So the day that we were filming for Shark Tank, we learned that lesson the hard way. We put our down payment, said we're going to need a bigger order because November's coming up. We're going to possibly be on Shark Tank, and this is what's going to happen. Well, November rolled around, we sold out, and in December I needed more, and I didn't hear anything. So I called the manufacturer and I said, "Hey, where's our order?" And he says, "We never got your order. We never got your down payment, and you owe us for your last order." So I guess for us, our first big, huge lesson was know your manufacturer, have a relationship with them,
With your
establish that relationship. And we soon did. It was a hard lesson, but a lot of good things came from that lesson. And one of them were, we met a Chinese lawyer, which we use, and I would highly recommend that. And he helped us with so many things, working with our manufacturers to make sure that there's no funny business, making sure that, we had our trademark in place, our NDAs, just a lot of things that we should have had in the beginning. So without this mistake, we might not have had that happen to us. So sometimes, bad things happen for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, unfortunately, and we've gone through the same thing. We trusted people, and cost us thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. And there are people that will they just take advantage of young entrepreneurs. And I'm not talking about age-wise, but I'm just talking about new entrepreneurs, because a lot of times we don't know enough. We haven't learned those lessons yet, and there's unfortunately, those are things that they don't necessarily teach you in business school. They don't go out and say, "Hey, guess what? Your distributor might they might screw you over and take your money, and how do you protect yourself from that and things like that." So,
well, we own other companies, so you would have thought that we would have been prepared for something like that, but that was literally a blow from left field that you could not have prepared for. That the guy that found your factory just actually kept the money and never placed an order for 4 or 5 months, and then now you're on Shark Tank and you don't have I mean, who can prepare for that, right? So, but we thought we knew more than we did, but no, we didn't.
Well, yeah, and we learned there's different people say they're manufacturers and they're not. They're actually trading companies. So we were like a trading company to the next trading company to the manufacturer. So now we know.
Deal direct.
And it's really especially hard now for people because you can't travel to China easily right now.
right.
And so obviously the best way to find this out is to go and visit your factory. And so hopefully that'll help a lot of people when they get started, is just being able to travel and check it out for yourselves. So that's what we would
there's
advice from us.
there's no substitute for that hands-on, getting into even some of the details that, man, you just don't want to get into. Because again, how easy is it just to hire somebody to handle that for you? It's great until it's not. Right. That's
exactly right.
Yep.
Exactly right. And there's a lot of people out there that want to take advantage of you. So, I love networking with our other Shark Tank entrepreneurs, but there are a lot of other entrepreneurs out there that have been through the same thing and offer good advice.
Well, I don't think a regular person can just go find a factory in China. Like, we had to hire a person. That was his expertise, was to match factories with products. So, I mean, a regular person just isn't going to have that resource. So that's who we ended up going with. We ended up with that person.
And he actually had a good track record. I just think he fell upon hard times, and took advantage, but so that happens too.
Yeah, but talking about the Shark Tank companies and the group that we have, and I've talked about this in the past on the podcast, but we have a network of companies that we rely on each other. We bounce stuff off of things, and we actually do the have you ever had this happen type of things, on our Facebook page and things like that. And it's invaluable. It really is.
It is amazing. For sure. Yeah. I literally look at it every day, or I text somebody every day, or I email somebody from our group, and I couldn't do without it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even the people putting out like, hey, we're doing new packaging. Do you like A, B, or C? And they trust the group to give honest feedback because none of us have any horse in the race. Like we're just there to help each other out.
Yeah.
And there are entrepreneurial groups in every city. One suggestion, again, if you're listening and you're wondering, how do you not step on some of the landmines that us Shark Tank companies have stepped on, finding some peers or maybe some people that are a little bit further on their journey than you that are just there to, socialize, but then also help each other out is really huge. It really is.
Invaluable. Yeah, invaluable for sure. And we've met some other people too along the way, like you said, outside of the Shark Tank community, that have also helped us. I know people that have written books about product development and things like that, and they have little groups. And yeah, it's just, depending on what you're looking for. But like you said, vetting is probably the hardest thing.
Yep.
There is. It's just trusting them.
So what is next for Mighty Carver? Is there anything new? Are you guys coming up with like some new products? Anything interesting on the horizon?
We have a lot going on. We're really excited. We're going to be on HSN this month.
Awesome.
And we are going to be meeting with a big box store next
week.
Next week.
Wow.
So that's exciting. And then also a chainsaw manufacturer, one of the largest in the world, is also reached out to us for things to happen. We can't say, but
so yeah, we got a lot going on right now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. If you guys could license this to one of the big chains, like that would be huge to have their name on the side. Like there's only a couple, so I'm probably pretty sure it's like one of the three that I can think of.
Right.
But we don't want to jinx it, but it's real exciting news for us. And we never. I have to say, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. We've always had our regular company that we do, and this was just an accidental thing. We produced 1,000 in the beginning to see what it would do. And then the Wall Street Journal got hold of it. We sold out in like one day and everybody went crazy. So for us, it's been like, we're just shaking our heads like, wow, how is this really happening?
Going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's I got to tell you, it could not have happened to better people. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So for those of you that are listening, if you want to check out the episode, I know it's on Hulu. So season 12, episode 4, right? You got to check out Mark in the Jason mask. It's pretty awesome. And if people want to buy a Mighty Carver for Thanksgiving, which is coming up here really, really soon, what's the best way of doing that?
So you can get one on mightycarver.com. You can get us on Amazon. We were on the cover of Sharper Image this month. So.
That's amazing. That's so great.
So those places that's
best.
where you can find us.
Yeah, and just as I know you guys can't play favorites, but anybody that can order directly from a company's website, always try to do that. I mean, I love Amazon, Sharper Image, all the retailers, but the fact of the matter is, if you wanna support a business, order directly from their website. Let you guys keep all that margin. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true. We really do appreciate it. And then we can send you other good fun things because we do have another thing in the works we can't tell you about right now, but we do have something coming. So we'll let you know.
Awesome.
Stay tuned.
You'll be the first to know.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Well, thank you guys again. I really appreciate your time. And good luck this holiday season. You guys are gonna sell. You guys are gonna sell so many. I'm so excited for you.
And happy Thanksgiving and holiday dinner to everybody. So yeah, you gotta amp up your holiday with the Mighty Carver for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Lessons from the Tank. If you got value from today's podcast, we encourage you to subscribe to the podcast so you're notified when a new episode is posted. If you'd like to support our podcast, we encourage you to review it and share it with a friend. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.